For most of my life, I thought my ability to endure pain was my greatest strength. I was the woman who could handle everything, the one who carried everyone, the one who survived what should have broken her, and people praised me for it. They said, "You're so strong." Nobody asked what was happening inside my body every time I swallowed the truth, pushed through the pain, ignored the warning signs, and kept performing the version of myself that made everyone else comfortable. Because my body was keeping record of every battle I had endured and never allowed myself to honestly feel. And eventually, after years of being the strong one, my body did something my voice could not do. It said no. I'm Kat Grace. This channel is where we discuss trauma, spiritual awakening, healing, energetic awareness, embodiment, and so much more. If you have spent your life in survival mode and known as the strong one, the capable one, the rescuer, the understanding one, this conversation is for you. We did not wake up one day yearning to disappear into our body and self-abandon so that other people could be comfortable. That didn't happen. This was learned behavior over time. For me, in my childhood, I knew that it was not safe to be vulnerable. I was often told that my needs as a child were too much, that I was too sensitive, too dramatic, just too much. As I have been doing the healing work surrounding the mother wound, I began looking closely at the patterns that I learned in my childhood. I learned to read a room before I even knew what that was. I learned to be silent. I learned to play small. I learned to put my mother's happiness and well-being before my own. I learned that it was not safe to be vulnerable. If emotions were expressed, I was told I was too much. My needs were dismissed. My mother's needs always came first. And that energetic imprint, it does something to you. It's almost as if I was bending until I broke. And for those of you that have been raised by a narcissistic parent, you know what this is like. You know how your nervous system was trained to scan, adapt, appease, and perform. You became hyper capable because vulnerability did not feel safe. We learned early on to hide things in order to appear strong or appear like everything was okay. We believed it was our responsibility to make a parent happy. It was our responsibility to keep her safe. It was our responsibility to protect her at all costs, even though the parent was the bully, the abuser, the addict. As a child, you don't know any better. You simply want your parents to be happy and you want to survive. And sadly, survival through childhood does not set you up for healthy relationships in the future. And as an adult, this is something that we learn after we have repeated the childhood cycle as an adult. Then we become willing to look at stuff. The pain becomes so great that we become willing to do whatever it takes to heal and learn a new way of communicating and operating in this world. So as I mentioned earlier, my body began to defy me, or at least that's how I viewed it at the time. I don't believe I would have slowed down had it not been for a traumatic spinal injury that forced me to be immobile. And at that point, there was no place I could go to escape all of the wounding that I had never healed. I just pushed my way through it. Can you relate? Being immobile humbles you greatly. Being hyper independent and having to depend on others and ask them for help is very humbling. And the years 2012 through 2015 were the most difficult years that I have endured physically. Little did I know that this horrible health issue was actually setting me up to have a spiritual awakening. Now, of course, if you had told me that during those years, I probably would have cussed at you. I was an angry, bitter person in deep victim consciousness. And I know that so many of us who have endured lots of trauma and been in parasitic relationships where people have fed on our life force and counted on us to be agreeable, strong, passive, kind, understanding, empathetic, all of those things. We have been in relationship with people that expected that from us, no matter what their behavior illustrated. And because we have not done the healing work, we're just simply operating by default and basically playing out the programming that we learned, the very toxic programming that we learned in our childhood. So there I was, forced on bed rest, extreme pain, anger, massive victim consciousness, a lot of why me, God? What did I ever do to deserve this? Like, it was some very, very toxic stuff, heavily rooted in victim consciousness. Now, I want to say something. This is not a video on victim shaming. I completely get what it's like to be on the receiving end of an abusive spouse. I understand the consequences. I am speaking to the energy and the type of consciousness or thought processing we hold. Now, we can look at things as the world is out to get me, I'm a victim, this is unfair, blah, blah, blah. Or we can look at it and say, this occurred, not thrilled about the experience, but I am going to take this experience and learn from it. I'm going to take this experience and alchemize it to where I can take horrible things and make it into something better that can help others. See the difference in the shift of energy? Blaming the world versus taking responsibility for my own life and what I create in it. That's the difference. Again, not victim shaming. Although probably one of y'all is going to, at least one of y'all will probably email me and tell me that I shame victims. But let me say it one more time. That is not what I am doing. This is about conscious awareness and perhaps opening your mind to doing something differently. All it takes is a willingness to be open just that much in order to facilitate an energetic shift that can benefit you and your healing. I promise. As I was forced to spend a lot of time in bed, I began reflecting on my life and looking at things and recognizing the patterns that were playing out. And once I realized I had literally married my mother's energy, that was a huge shift in consciousness for me. And I finally could see the patterns and how things played out. And newsflash, I was the common denominator in the relationship to my ex-husband and my relationship to my mother. And I knew that neither of them were going to change, so I had to do something different. And victim consciousness just was not a good place for me to be. I did not enjoy that energy, nor did other people. Okay, so once my body finally said no and forced me into a state where I had to face myself and begin doing the internal work, rather than go into detail about every surgical procedure, let's just say between the years of 2012 to 2015, I had over 6 surgical procedures. And 2 of those procedures were 360 spinal fusions, where a cage was inserted into my spine in order to hold it together. Needless to say, it was incredibly painful. And the doctors had no issue prescribing opiates for pain control. So there I was, 2012 through 2015, on narcotics, feeling myself fade, feeling myself slip further and further away of the person I was. It was incredibly depressing. I was scared. I felt like I was watching the world pass me by. I had very limited physical control over my own body, and I was barely in my mid-30s. And it was a terrifying state to be in. And so when I say I understand how sometimes all we can see is pain, all we can do is see the worst case scenarios. In and out of doctor's appointments, in and out of surgeries, those things cause us to start feeling hopeless. I get it. I truly do. There are alternatives to living that way. So as someone who was once hyper independent, now I'm in a position where I cannot drive. I cannot dress myself. I cannot walk without support or assistance. I cannot go through a day without a regimen of painkillers. Yeah. I could no longer do the things I loved, like adventure sports, gardening, dancing, going out, traveling. I mean, it was all gone. And it's so easy to slip into this deep depression and feel hopelessness and think that this is all there is and it's you against the world. Like, I truly get that, but that is not a place where you want to stay. And the years of unresolved trauma take its toll on the body. The years of relationships spent in parasitic dynamics where your life force was fed upon, that does something to the body. Every time a truth is swallowed, every time you allow yourself to be dismissed or a boundary violated, you are abandoning self, and the body is truly keeping record of this self-abuse, essentially. I wish that we could just survive a trauma, not deal with the feeling, and just move on. Of course, I wish that was the case, but it's not. So if you want to heal on all levels, you have to face it. You have to feel it. Now, if you're someone who struggles with chronic pain, I'm here to tell you it's not going to get better overnight, but it can get better every day, a little bit at a time. And when you start processing these emotions, start taking responsibility for your life, start finding joy in the tiniest of things, whether it's just stepping outside and feeling the sun on your face, or my favorite thing to do, remove my shoes and bare feet on the grass. I highly recommend these things. Find what brings you joy. Even if it's something little, don't discount it. It is your job to take care of you. And for too long, we took care of others. And it breaks down the body. But you can heal. I promise you that. It is possible. I'm living proof of it. Now, this is going to end up being a series as I kind of walk us through the events that occurred, okay? And so I think this is enough for today. I'm going to love you and I'm going to leave you. And I will see you soon. Namaste.